Welcome. Welcome. I can't stand saying welcome, but I say welcome. Welcome. Welcome to Vengeance Day 2023. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, was this a good show? Yeah, it was good. But was it great? No. It wasn't something spectacular, but it was good. There's nothing wrong with having a really good show. But it was not a great show. And that's something people are going to get confused about when they hear this and say, oh, you love NXT so much, you're going to say anything. No. I'm one of those people that's honest to you. Love it or not, I'm just going to say what it is. It was a good show, but it wasn't great. Look, let's be honest here. We know the influence of Triple H is not as great on NXT at all. It's all Shawn, which is probably now beginning to get influenced a little bit by Vince, because we already know Vince is back and he's talking in Triple H's ear. That also means he may be talking in Shawn's ear as well. There's no way he can say something. So it's obvious that it is still Triple H who's running most of the show, the majority of it, just like Shawn is running it here. But there's got to be advisoring from a Vince McMahon. Obvious. But let's get into this show. Now, opening of the show. I'm not talking about the North American title yet. I got something to say, especially with my boy Wes Lee, Desmond Xavier. My boy, I love him, but damn, you messed up. But opening was a little bit of a narration by the Queen. Now, I know people are going to say, well, Charlotte Flair, ain't nothing wrong with Charlotte. She's currently SmackDown Women's Champion. There ain't no problem with it. What's the problem? The problem is, it's Charlotte Flair. Now, mind you, there's going to be people going to say, Charlotte Flair trying to get the spotlight, Charlotte Flair getting all this. Yes, that's what she did. They didn't just stick her there just because she's from North Carolina, and she is. Flair country is North Carolina, but I will say, did she do a decent narration? Yes. As much as I'd rather not have her do it, I'd rather see someone else, maybe a Booker T, maybe anyone from North Carolina that used to be a legend. I would have liked to see that, but they used Charlotte. But it didn't mean she did a very bad narration. It wasn't that bad. She had people by her side. She talked about the matches. She barely talked about herself, and that's the way it's supposed to be. But still, it is Charlotte, and for her to be used, I'm not agreeing with it, but at least I will say she did a decent job. Now, North American title with Dijak versus Wes Lee, my buddy Desmond Xavier from Impact Wrestling. Look, guys, you see the match in my face. You see the image. It was a good match. I liked how the match flowed. I'm not saying Dijak is one of the best wrestlers there is. He's a good wrestler. So is Desmond Xavier. Now, I want to say this clearly, and I know I called him Desmond, but I want to make this very clear when it comes to Wes Lee. I'm going to call him Wes. He's a great wrestler as a high-flying wrestler. I've always known him as a high flyer. He does have some ring skill, taking nothing from him. But he's a high flyer, high gymnastic wrestler. And in many cases, it's very good. But there are cases when it backfires. And in this match, it did. Particularly, you will see in a minute, and I will tell you, if you get squeamish, to look away from what I'll show. But let me talk about the match. The match flowed pretty well. Desmond Xavier, well, I'm not saying Desmond. I really like him as Desmond Xavier, not Wes Lee. But when it comes to Wes, he did a good job in the beginning to the middle. He had to struggle at first. And Dijak was leading it. Eventually, at one point, we got Stax and Tony D'Angelo coming out saving Wes, because Wes at one point got trapped in a chair because Dijak got tired of him jumping around and he couldn't grab him. So when he finally did get him, he whacked him in the face. He threw him in onto the ground. He jammed a broomstick into one of those executive chairs, beat the crap out of him, and he was going to jump and do a helo on top of him while he was in the chair. He would have killed his ass. But it was a Tony D'Angelo with his underboss Stax that saved him. And then they ran off. That means Dijak still has something to do with a Tony, but also Tony now has a little bit of leverage against Wes because he saved Wes. That's understandable. Now you're going to do something a little bit with Wes because he's got to owe Tony because he was trapped. He was stunned, he was trapped, and he had no way out from that helo. Then Dijak now. Dijak's going to want to break his neck. Well, he would break his neck, and that's Tony and Stacks if he wasn't hurt now. Because once Dijak got back into the ring and Wes got back into the ring, I believe Wes did either a drop kick or a spin kick before he does his backflip Pele. But before he did his backflip Pele, he did something. I can't remember what was it. Was it a twisting flip or a drop kick? One of them on Dijak, and he hurt his hand. And this is where, if anybody doesn't like seeing someone's hand injured, broken, or dislocated, I don't know if it's broken. I think it's a dislocation in his finger. Look away, because here it is. One of his fingers, I believe, on his left hand was totally dislocated, and now he's got an issue. I think it was dislocated, but it could be broken. Whether it's dislocated or broken, he can't use his hand right. So that's an issue now, where it's going to be a question, can he work? Are they going to be able to help him? That was bad, what happened. It's one of the problems with high-flying wrestlers that have always stated. And I love Wesley. I knew him as Desmond Xavier. Look how many times I called him that. But the point is, sometimes being that athletic has a lot of benefits, but it can backfire. If it's not you that it backfires on, it's going to be your partner. And the guy you work with, you want to try and protect them. And things like this does happen. It's accidental. It's not like he's doing it on purpose, but it does happen. Next, we got our women's tag championships. Now, I want to say this. I don't even remember who currently is the tag champions in WWE for SmackDown and Raw. Do you remember? Because I don't remember anymore. I don't remember. Who are they? You can leave a comment below, but I have no clue who they are. So we seen Chance and Carter going up against Farron and Akira. I'm like, this is what? The longest reign that NXT's ever had with the Women's Tag Championship, and particularly longer than rest of SmackDown and Raw. And this is why I wish they would have combined the titles and made NXT, SmackDown, and Raw something that could be rotated through, so you could see Carter and you could see Chance go through the talent and give them something new to do. But we never went there. So now we get this, being told that they're the longest reigning tag champions in history of WWE. Not SmackDown, not Raw. It's them. The developmental promotion has the longest reigning titles, which made me think, okay, something's about to happen. Is someone going to come and mess with this entire match? That didn't happen. Was it a bad match? No. Nikita James looked good out of everyone there. And I do agree with JD. She has something. I do believe she needs to change that character. Clearly her clothes and her character, I really would like them to change it, but there's no guarantee they're going to change it now. But let's make it clear. Something had to happen when they said they were the longest reigning champions. And it did. Akita James. You can easily see from this image that she is literally holding the legs, and I believe it was Chance that got the pin. So, now they're new champions. Now, is that a bad thing? No. It's good to see a change up because they need to do something. But still, being told that they're the longest reigning champions is not good for WWE. Because they should have combined the WWE titles and the NXT titles, make them one championship, and let those women go through all three brands, and that would have really helped the company. Honestly, if they want to keep the tag titles, they need one set of tag titles, not two. That's just me, guys. Tell me below. Now, next, the 2 out of 3 falls match between Apollo and Carmelo Hayes. Now, was it a good match? Yeah. Seeing that Carmelo got the first pin was not a problem. Seeing, what was it, Commander Azid? I can't remember what he called himself. what did he call himself? Corvan? Or what is it? Corvan? I can't remember his name. It's been a long time. I just remember as Commander Azid. But essentially, he shows up when Trick Williams was trying to do something. He tries to stop him. Yeah, they do a little fist bump. But then, simply put, he lost. He lost 2 matches because he pretty much just wasn't paying attention. That is Apollo Crews. Now, when it was all over, you see the formerly known Commander Z get into the ring. He helps him up and then lays his ass out. So, now bearded and mustached out. Is this a good thing? I don't know. Does this mean that they're going to have a feud? Hell yes. Will this help an Apollo Crews? I don't know. Will this help the guy who was formerly known as Commander Z? I don't know. Only thing I do know is that this is what's going on. I just don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. I don't know if it's in between. We're going to have to see how they're going to go forward. I'm just saying. Now, the Fatal 4-Way for the NXT titles. New Day, Gallus, Chase U, which was the one I really liked the most, and when it came to Pretty Deadly. Let's make this clear. Who was the one that was the most spotlighted in the entire match? That was Andre Chase. Flat out, he was the most spotlighted person there. Yes, Gallus looked good, Pretty Deadly looked good, but if you're going to single one person out, in my humble perspective, it was Andre Chase. He just looked the most best out of it. Now, the best tag team was Gallus. That, you could see Gallus look the best next to New Day. Now, let's understand. This is Gallus. This is New Day. There ain't no way you're going to hide it. They're leagues separate because New Day's been on the roster for so long and they were so over by the crowd. There was no way the crowd wasn't going to cheer for them next to Andre Chase. When he did his stomp of spelling out Chase U, New Day was the most loudest. That's the way it went. And there was nothing wrong with that. I'm fine with it. Did I really want Chase U to win? Yeah, but I knew they weren't. But it was good to see them in a high-profile spot. The question is going to be now, what happens now? New Day, and let's make this clear, Xavier Woods and Kofi, I'm hoping that just because they dropped the titles now, they don't migrate back to SmackDown or Raw. That's what I'm hoping will not happen. Because at this point, they lost the titles, knowing that they can get a rematch clause, and they deserve a rematch. The question is going to be, will they stay whether they lose those titles or not? Or regain them, I mean. Will they stay? If they regain them, they'll stay, of course. And they'll probably keep going back to the main roster doing little cameos. But if they keep losing, that means New Day may not stay in the main roster of NXT anymore. I really hope they do because they need them there. That gives the show a lot of excitement and also gives tag teams an opportunity to work with a really top-notch team. This is just me, guys. Tell me below. Now, I gotta say this. Did they do a lot of vid packs? Yes, they did. They did a lot of vid packs for JD McDonough. They did a vid pack for Nikita Lyons. Now, the problem I think that is, since she had surgery, she's out. They're trying to make sure she's reminded. Now, it doesn't mean she's out permanently. It's just out for several months. And they even showed who could have hurt her. So they're trying to keep her interested. So that's actually a good thing. They also did Cora Jade. They also did Carmelo Hayes, particularly when they were setting up the ring. They did a lot of vid packs. Now, there's no problem when you do it mostly for the show, but they did them like one after another, which, along with trying to set up for the Elimination Chamber, was a little too much for me personally. So that took down the show. Now, the triple threat for the NXT Women's title, JC Jane, the Gigi Dolan, and the Roxanne Perez. Now, you know that let's make this let's make this clear. You know Booker T is partial to his baby. That's his little girl. Let's make this clear. Right now, as it stands, before we get into the match, do you think Booker T isn't happy as stink that a girl he's known since she was 16, she's 21 now, 15 or 16, that he put her through his developmental, that he's not thinking of her as his own daughter. He is. The way he speaks, there is no way he is impartial. There's no way he's not happy as hell seeing her there. And knowing that she's on the show, that he's glad to see her, and as champ. So when he was mostly doing this, he was very partial, it's obvious. But he was trying to be impartial when he was being partial. Now, beginning of the match, you can see Gigi Dolan and JC, they basically were working together to try and nail Roxanne. But as time went on, and eventually each one of them wanted to get the pin, and the other one is going like, what the hell are you doing? They eventually started getting angry at each other, and eventually started going at each other. Who was the best between the two? Well, between the two. This is what I get from being a botch fest. Who was the best between the two? I like Gigi. There's no way I don't like her. I've even said that when I first saw Toxic Attraction. She kind of reminds me of a younger Paige. That's what she looks like. She kind of has the body shape and the attitude of a younger Paige. When she first started on the main roster 2012 to 2013, that's what she acted like. That's the kind of feeling I get from her. Of course, she still needs more work and she's not a face. But you get my point. So between the two, that's what I see. But who is better? That's JC. She is better. She just looks more polished. She acts more polished. She has a better attitude. Even though Gigi's not bad, I just feel like she's slightly better. And as the match went on, it wasn't that bad of a match. But let's make this clear. Did I believe Roxanne Perez was going to lose here? Hell no, I did not. There was no way Roxy was going to lose. No, she wasn't going to lose. And eventually she did win. She won, managed to walk away. Now, admittedly, I was wondering if they were going to bring out a new opponent for her while she was walking to the back, but they didn't bring anybody out. So that's probably going to be on the next NXT episode. So, the women's match was great. The tag match for the women was not bad at all. Wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. The women's triple threat wasn't bad. The fatal four-way wasn't bad. Apollo versus Hayes was okay. It could have been done on NXT TV. It didn't need to be done there, but they did do it. So the majority of the show was fine. Final match, the steel cage match. Grayson Waller versus Braun Breaker. Let me give it to you like this. Was it a bad match where you can't escape the cage to win? You have to do pinfall or submission. That's it. There's no DQ. Flat out. Did it help the match? Yes, it did. It did help the match. And pretty much, Grayson was doing pretty well. A couple of times, it's like he wanted to go to the top of the cage, and then he changed his mind. And then when he was on the top of the cage, he got superplexed, and that was near the end of the match. So it was all right. This way gets a little interesting, because you saw how Braun just was done with it. That when it was at the end, and after the superplex, and after he speared him once, they want to pin him. And seeing that Vic really wanted to make this emphasize that, why are you not pinning him? What are you doing? Why are you not pinning him? And he already had the straps down. He decided to let Grayson try to get up. And they wanted so badly to make sure that people understood that this is his yard. That instead of him pinning him, he grabs him in the face, grabs his hair along with his face. You can see the image of my face. And he makes it clear, who do you think you are? This is mine. This is my yard. This is my dog pound. This is not yours. It belongs to me. And then he spears him again, and that's when it was over. 1, 2, 3. He wins. He gets on top of the cage, and he holds up the title. I believe I got a shot of it into my face. There you go. Bob's your uncle. Did it help a Braun Breaker? Yes. But will it help him in the long run? I don't know. Short term, it's going to piss a lot of people off that he did that because they think he's privileged, which maybe that might be a good thing for his character. But will it help him long term? I don't know. It's going to depend on who his next opponent is, because he's going to have opponents eventually. And he's already gone through Grayson Waller. Maybe they will repeat Grayson Waller on him again, but he needs a new opponent. I do not know who's next. And now that Dijak, and as you already saw the image, I'm not going to show it again, that his finger's either dislocated or broken, I don't know if he's going to be the next challenger. Since particularly that he lost to Wesley. I'm just saying, I don't know. But this is just my point on the Vengeance Day of NXT 2023. Please give me a comment below. I have no idea if anybody else is going to review this. I don't know if JD's reviewing it. I don't know if JD's going to review it. I don't know if just Alex is going to review it. I don't know if Solomon's going to review it. I might be the only one of those people that might. Next to other YouTubers. Maybe Fightful Select may do it. I don't know. But who knows? Give me a like, please. I don't like doing that, but it seems that the algorithm only wants to see likes. Please give me at least a couple of likes. Please. Peace.